A potential tropical cyclone has developed off the coast of the United States. We'll look at where it's going and where we could be tropically active at the end of September. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. Great to see you on a Sunday. Hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we do have a new potential tropical cyclone off the coast of the United States. We'll take a look at all the newest details from the first advisory from the National Hurricane Center. We still have Tropical Storm Gordon well out in the central Atlantic. We'll talk about some active weather across our area for today and then look ahead as to why I believe we're going to be in for a pretty active end of the month. Great to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what's been going on in your area, how your weekend has been. We'll get started with the new information here on potential tropical cyclone number 8. Now, this is brand new information. The first advisory from the National Hurricane Center was just issued at 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. That's also 5 o'clock Atlantic Standard Time. So we now have PTC number 8. Winds are 45 miles an hour. But again, this is not a tropical storm as of yet, but it more than likely will be. And because it's going to impact land within 48 hours, that's why it gets the potential tropical cyclone designation. It is moving to the northwest very slowly right now at 7 miles an hour. Pressure is a very paltry 1,006 millibars. This is not going to be a strong storm, but again, there is the opportunity that this is going to develop into a tropical storm, and that would be named Helene if it does. Again, still an orange area around this with a 70% chance. So this is the very first track for the Hurricane Center. Now, over the next day or two, this system is going to stay off of the Carolina coastline and then get nudged back north and west. So the big story with this is going to be the potential for some heavy rain, some storm surge, and some rough surf and sea conditions, okay? Never going to get very strong. The forecast is for it to move inland with winds of around 50 miles an hour. There is a tropical storm warning now in effect from Edisto Beach, South Carolina, up to the Ocracoke Inlet in North Carolina. Storm surge in this area could be 1 to 3 feet. Rainfall totals could be 3 to 6 inches, locally up to 8 inches, and obviously very rough surf and sea conditions. A lot of kicked up seas here off the coast of the Carolinas. Looking at the satellite imagery here, and again, looking a little bit better today. Still trying to get a low level center of circulation completely wrapped up, but there is some thunderstorm activity beginning to develop around that, and it's able to overcome some of that drier air it's in place. Again, it's a small compact storm, but it's basically just stationary at the hour. When we look at the visible satellite imagery, and again, as we get towards the end of the day here, you'll see some of that great shadowing on the visible satellite imagery, and there has been a consolidation here near the center, and that's why there's a little bit more confidence that we're going to get a tropical storm before it moves inland, but nothing stronger than that. But if you did live along the coastline here of both North and South Carolina, make sure you check in, have the latest updates, check in with the local government and your local officials. Again, it's going to remain a tropical storm, not going to have time to strengthen any more than that, but there could be some excessive rainfall in some areas, and again, a storm surge of around 1 to 3 feet. That's the latest with that. Let's get into what's going on across the rest of our area on this Sunday afternoon. We'll start in the northwest Bahamas because we've had some very active weather in the far northwest side of the Bahamas for today. Actually, we've had a few severe thunderstorm warnings issued by the Bahamas Department of Meteorology for places like Grand Bahama. Let's take a look at some of those storms right now with our live radar. You can see those developing. Very heavy rain, some gusty winds, some intense lightning being produced. Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, including Freeport, Lucaya, High Rock, some storms near Bimini. This is trying to push east towards Abaco. They're weakening a little bit as they get there, but again, it's been a fairly high concentration of showers and storms across the northwest Bahamas. We've had a few develop over Andros. We've had a couple try and develop over the New Providence area. Over the last couple of hours, nothing outrageous here, but again, a few storms here and there with a couple of passing showers, nothing too heavy, a couple of spotty showers over the Eleuthera area. But the interesting thing is you go a little bit farther south, you're going to get into a couple of showers and storms in the rest of the Bahamas, Cat Island, Exuma, Long Island, back down towards the Acklins, Crooked Island, places like that, but nothing extremely concentrated. Ackland's trying to get into a little bit more activity as we speak right now. You can see a few lightning strikes developing across the island. You know, relatively typical September afternoon. Few storms down there in the far southern sides of the islands. Turks and Caicos with a couple as well. And as we've typically seen, the storms are again going gangbusters over Cuba right now. Very heavy rain and lightning developing across the island. they're going to try and push their way off towards the south. Let's take a look before we get into other areas here, just the overall view on this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to bring up temperatures because a lot of you, again, have talked about how hot it's been. Numbers for today, these are in Fahrenheit, are going to be upper 80s to some lower 90s outside. Area dependent, but another pretty hot day. Portions of Central America have been able to run into the mid 90s as actual air temperatures. Feels like temperatures. Again, the heat index, that's what these numbers are, but it matters because this is what it really feels like when you step outside. Again, we pushed nearly 115 in Kingston for today, nearly 110, over 110 as a matter of fact in Grand Cayman. We were getting close to 110 in Nassau up towards Freeport and Lucaya. Same thing for the Santo Domingo area of the Dominican Republic. Over 110 degrees in Ponce there in Puerto Rico. So it's been a very hot day where we haven't had a lot of showers and storms. But let's talk about some of the storms developing over Jamaica at the hour. We've had a couple develop in the central portion of the island, but a good cluster of storms for our northwest side of the island, mainly Hanover Parish, some in St. James, some in Westmoreland, Montego Bay, Lucy, Negril. And again, an isolated storm in the central part of the island, but leaving at this point in time, at least Jamaica on the drier side, and it's been very hot for today. Few spotty showers over the Cayman Islands, but nothing that has been very concentrated. Once again, it's been a quieter day overall across the Yucatan and Central America. We've actually seen a few storms develop near Cancun and Cozumel and just inland, even down towards Tulum, kind of almost developing north and slowly drifting off south and southwest. Relatively quiet, hot day for our friends in Belize. A couple of storms near San Ignacio, but they pushed inland. We've had a few more storms over Honduras for today. Nicaragua has been a bit more active there, even as far west as the Managua area. San Jose, Costa Rica, relatively quiet for today. More storms over Panama. Back over to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. A few storms developing at the hour right now, mainly right over the spine of the island, some of the higher terrain, basically across the Haitian Dominican Republic borders right now. Nothing extremely concentrated, but some very heavy rainfall. Fair amount of lightning from time to time as well, so just kind of keep an eye out for that. And again, hot conditions where we're not having the showers and storms. It's the same situation and just overall even drier conditions for today. Puerto Rico and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands. It's been relatively dry. It's going to be extremely hot as well. Watch out again for feels like temperatures to be approaching 110 in the afternoon hours. And this is an area that does not have a lot in the rain, in the way of some rain in the forecast over the next couple of days. Passing showers at best. Same thing for our friends in the Lesser Antilles. Again, a few spotty showers at the hour. Let me bring back on those feels like temperatures again. Again, these are feels like numbers. What it really feels like when you step outside. Just to show you again real quickly, Puerto Rico was exceptionally hot in a couple of areas for today, including Ponce, St. Thomas, St. Croix jumped over 100 as well, very easily as a matter of fact. Same thing for St. John. And this is the same situation across most of the Lesser Antilles as well. Again, a couple of light passing showers to cool things off, but not a lot from Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique. Again, relatively dry Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, trying to get a couple of isolated showers to develop over portions of Trinidad and Tobago. But a lot of that activity has actually been farther west for today. Going to try and clip places like Nueva Esparta off of the Venezuelan coastline. And our friends in the ABC Islands have been extremely hot and dry for today. So that's what it looks like right now. I want to mention again, one of the big stories that's going to be happening with PTC number 8 is going to be the wave heights across the Carolina coastline. Some of those swells will even try and push back down towards the northwest Bahamas as well. But you can see, again, early in this period here, and there's a secondary one to talk about later on, but early in this period, wave heights could be in the double digits offshores, which again is going to elevate the surf. There could be some beach erosion, there could be some coastal flooding, and again, that storm surge overall of 1 to 3. Gulf of Mexico, Northwest Caribbean look pretty good. Eastern side of our Caribbean will actually turn the winds out of the north here a little bit later in the period. Could lead to some swells across portions of the islands, and we'll have a little bit more breeze in the central side of the Caribbean over the next couple days as well. So that's what it looks like again right now. Other story I want to mention, obviously, is what's going on with Tropical Storm Gordon. Now, this is a fish storm. Gordon is struggling. Winds are just 35 miles an hour right now. So even though it's back down to tropical depression status, because it has attained a name, it's going to keep its name. And the bottom line is this is going to be a very weak system as it kind of meanders in the central Atlantic, Nothing is expected to impact land with Gordon. These are the kind of storms that we like to see. Okay, as we get into the forecast, I appreciate you guys doing me a couple of quick paybacks. Like this video. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to Meteo Mundo. You want these daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. And of course, your tropical updates. Thank you for sharing this with anyone you think is going to get something out of it. And again, appreciate the ways you can find to support the channel. We have the Super Thanks open, our memberships, which are just 99 cents a month. That's the join button, and other ways you can find in the description below. So now we want to get into what's going to be happening over the next few days. And then we'll take your island by island rainfall forecast. And then we're going to deep dive into the rest of September tropically and look at a couple of interesting things that I've been monitoring over the last couple of days, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So let's get into what's going to be happening here in the short term. So for this, I'm going to switch over to the NAM model. I think you guys know, relatively speaking, I like this just a little bit better here. And we'll basically take a look at the forecast for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now look, there's going to be some areas with some pretty active weather. There's going to be other areas that are going to be fairly dry for September, and we're dealing with the heat. Like, we've had heat advisories basically every day for places like Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and some excessive heat warnings as well. And don't expect that to, change anytime soon. Again, spotty rain is in the forecast from Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Martinique, even a little bit spotty or maybe farther north. There's just not a huge slug of tropical moisture coming in. The easterlies will continue to provide the opportunity for some passing showers each and every day in this area, but nothing is going to be concentrated, and the rain is going to be relatively few and far between. St. Bart's and Saba, Statia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbuda, Antigua, all with just a few passing showers. Same thing for Anegada, St. Thomas, St. John, Virgin Gorda, St. Croix, Vieques, Culebra, all of Puerto Rico. Looking at around a 20 to a 30% chance at best for rain over the next couple of days. So don't expect a lot of showers there. Chances might be slightly higher in portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, but passing showers will be the norm. I don't expect there to be a lot of rain overall. We'll get a couple of storms developing with the heat of the day in the afternoon, but no real large tropical features here to provide us any huge showers and storms. That was a little too far out, but I did want to zoom out a little bit more just again to show you that generally speaking, the farther west that we go, and then the farther north that we go, rain chances will begin to improve. So Turks and Caicos, not a lot of rain as well, just a couple of scattered showers here. Our friends in Jamaica, it's iffy at best. Once again, get ready for the heat. That would be actually the big headline early in the week for my friends in Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, Hope Bay, Morant Point. Just get ready for some pretty hot afternoons. We'll get some passing showers in the afternoon hours. I'm not really focused on any one day. I think we're just going to shake out a couple of showers and storms with the heat of the afternoon. Might see a couple of storms linger into the early evening, but again, you get one of these storms, consider yourselves lucky. Trying to get a little bit more rain over Cuba, Cayman Islands. It's still more passing showers than anything. Nothing extremely concentrated. The NAM is wetter compared to the GFS overall. I think we're just seeing more isolated showers. And, really, the rain here in Central America will be more confined to places like Panama and Costa Rica, even just scattered right now, Nicaragua, Honduras, but there'll be some rain all the way towards San Pedro Sula and Roatan. But you get towards Guatemala, Belize, and north into the Yucatan, and the rain chances are relatively lower from, let's say, Tulum back down towards Belize City on the northeast tip of the Yucatan, Cancun, Cozumel. Could be a few more scattered showers as well. But again, you're not seeing anything extremely concentrated until you get into the northwest Bahamas. It's an area that could just be a little bit more active, just like they were today. We had a few severe thunderstorm warnings, and I think that we could have some active weather the next few days for places like Nassau and Eleuthera and the Abacos and Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and Bimini. Those areas I think will see a good chance for showers and storms, heavy rainfall, cloudy ground lightning, gusty winds, kicked up sea conditions, and the opportunity for an isolated severe storm. On the NAM model, we can just clearly see that spin situated in and then working its way north relatively quickly. Nothing outrageous out of it. It goes inland fairly fast on the NAM and then quickly dissipates as it moves north and east. This is basically a secondary frontal boundary here. This is developing off of an upper level trough in an old frontal boundary, and then there's a secondary one that'll be coming in with more moisture for the Bahamas. So at the end of this period, this isn't even the system, it's what's actually moving in right here. I mean, that's the spin, and the NAM takes it in relatively quickly. So that's what I expect over our area the next few days. The Bermuda area could see a few showers kind of pushed east out of this, and their rain chances are decent the next couple of days. Also look out for a little bit in the way of some elevated seas, and again, there's nothing coming out of what's going to be happening with Gordon. So we look at your rain chance island by island over the next 3 days. Bahamas, we'll just continue to actually see building rain chances. Good chance on Tuesday, really high chance on Wednesday in the northwest Bahamas. And yes, there is that much of a cutoff where I think the central and the southeast Bahamas only have relatively isolated shower and storm chances, and the Turks and the Caicos are even more isolated than that. Again, choice locations will get some rain and storms during the afternoon hours, but they're just not going to be widespread. Cuba's rain chances stay relatively high. Again, the Cayman Islands, I think the NAM might be overdoing it slightly, but there'll be that opportunity, about a 30% chance each day. Belize City's rain chances, again, have come down a bit, and they'll stay on the lower side through Wednesday. Cancun and Cozumel, a little bit higher chance on Tuesday, still a decent chance for your Wednesday. Again, I don't have a ton of rain for Jamaica. A few isolated showers again. Yes, that will help out some of the island, but there's a lot that's not going to have a lot of rain over the next few days. Same thing for our friends in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Just some isolated showers and storms. Puerto Rico is even drier. Okay, just a 20% chance through Wednesday. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, not much better. Bermuda's rain chances, again, are a little bit higher tomorrow and Tuesday. A little bit lower on Wednesday. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, 30 to 40% chance. And my friends through the Lesser Antilles, this is what you're going to, let's see, you're going to see a lot of 30s, you're going to see a lot of 40s. There'll be a few areas slightly higher on one particular day, just kind of based off of what I'm seeing with the next surge of moisture coming in, but this is nothing outrageous for September. So 30, 40% chance Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat. Guadalupe with a 40% chance for tomorrow. Tails off just a little bit generally on Wednesday for most areas. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, decent chance for tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, 30% chance. Barbados, just a 30% chance. The next couple of days even drier on Wednesday. Grenada with the isolated showers and storms. Trinidad and Tobago will try and get a little bit of moisture lifting from the south and east, so slightly higher chances there. Same thing for our friends in Suriname and Guyana, and very low end chances for Nueva Esparta and the ABC Islands. Rainfall totals over the next 7 days on the European model. Now you'll see at the very end of this period, so the first 3 days are relatively dry, you'll see at the end of this period rain totals do begin to come back up, especially over, again, the northwest side of the Caribbean, portions of Cuba, the Bahamas, obviously the rain with PTC number 8, and then still a little bit drier in our eastern areas over the next 7 days. We can take a look at that on the GFS model as well. And the GFS model is about the same. Again, you have higher rain totals over the Bahamas, portions of Cuba, northwest side of the Caribbean in general, over Central America as well. Just bring on again, we won't plot this out, but just to kind of bring this cursor over some of these areas, you are looking at some 3, 4, 5 inch totals here in portions of Central America. Once again, 1 inch is 25 millimeters, so it's very easy to do the extrapolation, if you will. 4 inches of rain is 100 millimeters. So very easy conversion there. And again, into Nassau and Freeport, places like that, there'll be some pockets of a few inches of rain. So again, 50, 75 millimeters in a couple of spots. And then here's your higher rainfall totals with PTC number 8, which again could become Tropical Storm Helene. So Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, North Carolina along the coastline, 5, 6 inches of rain. And that's what the Hurricane Center is calling for, 3 to 6 with isolated totals a little bit higher than that. Rain totals overall are lower as you get through the Greater Antilles and back into the Lesser Antilles as well. Just not expecting a lot there. Okay, so now let's talk about the tropics over the longer term. I'm going to go back over to the GFS model, and I'm going to take this all the way out literally to the end of the month. So relatively speaking, for what has been a quieter hurricane season, especially since August 12th, we had a pretty active week, okay? We had Hurricane Francine, we had Tropical Storm Gordon, and now we have PTC number 8, which is forecast to become Tropical Storm Helene. At least it's a higher chance for that. The next few days tropically look quiet, okay? Really don't like to go beyond about 5 days to be talking about, oh, we're going to be completely quiet, because this is a dynamic portion of the year, friends, even though it's been relatively quiet for, again, mid-August to mid-September, but we have been a little bit more active over the last week. Here's what I'm saying. Relatively speaking, over the next 4 to 5 days, besides PTC number 8 becoming potentially Helene, there's not much on the board. As we get to next weekend, okay, as we get to the next weekend, so today is the 15th. So as we get into the 21st, which would be next Saturday, and then the 22nd, which is next Sunday, That's when we'll start to look closer to home. And that's kind of the big highlight that I want to talk about. We may not see, at least in the next week to 10 days, any development in the main development region here of the Atlantic. There will always be, of course, some tropical waves coming off the West African coast that bears watching. But from what I've been seeing, this might be a little bit closer to home. And I mentioned this, I think, in Friday's video, that the northwest side of the Caribbean into the Bahamas and the Turks and the Caicos could be the next breeding grounds for our next tropical systems. So it could be developing closer to home with kind of a push to the north. I want you to notice that it's a very sloppy signature on the dynamic of the GFS, which is what I'm showing you here on my weather computer, but you can see there's a lot more action here in the central and the northwest side of the Caribbean, into the Turks and Caicos of the Bahamas, and then to the Western Atlantic than what we've seen. That's kind of situation number one. And then towards the very end of the month, you're going to see potentially again more activity towards the Lesser Antilles, and just more activity in general as well, with another system here over the Greater Antilles. I'm just going to let this loop up, and we'll again take a look at the reflectivity here. So next weekend, I'm going to keep a close eye on the central northwest Caribbean to see what happens with this slug of moisture. The central Atlantic gyre could be the one, the Central American gyre could be the one that could be trying to spin up something here in the Caribbean. And then towards the end of the month, maybe back out to the Eastern Caribbean, far Western Atlantic, Lesser Antilles, into Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Dominican Republic, Haiti, places like that for the second potential, okay? But again, you can clearly see there's a little bit of twist. Now, you guys know that in these longer range as well, I like to look at this vorticity product. It's basically spin in the atmosphere. So let me bring that up as well. Take me just 1 second to find it. Here we go. So let's loop this up. And it might take a bit of time here to get the full 2 weeks to loop up. But again, what I'm looking at in this product is the spin at the low levels of the atmosphere. It's not at the surface, but it is a composite of the lower levels of the atmosphere. So it gives me areas to monitor, if you will, for the longer term. I like to use this in my own analysis in the 5 to 7 to 10 day time frame, and sometimes, depending on things, if it's more active like this time of the year, into that 2 week time frame, even into the full run of the GFS model out to 360 hours. But you can clearly see as this is beginning to load up here, there's more dynamics in the atmosphere closer to home beginning next weekend. So I really think that starting on about the 21st, which is next Saturday, through the end of September, it's going to be a more active period where we're going to at least have the potential for more tropical development a bit closer to home for our area here. So again, it's close to fully loading. We're almost towards the 30th here. It'll jump from time to time here, but you can clearly see that spin with that first one that I talked about moving up the United States East Coast, and then towards the very end of the month, potentially something a little bit more right there. And so basically we're looking at the spin rather than the reflectivity, but we can see the Central American gyre begins to kick back in with a little bit more activity. Very clear to see that near the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, over Cuba, over the Bahamas, racing up the northeast, the eastern side of the United States. And then again, the secondary system back over the Lesser Antilles right towards the end of the month. This doesn't mean it's going to play out just like that, but there are signals that there's more activity potentially on the board. And we can look at that with the GFS ensemble members. I'm right towards the end of the run here, so we'll let it get back towards the beginning of the loop and then we'll talk about it. But you see there's a lot more activity here close to home. So again, this is Monday, tomorrow, next few days. Everything should be quiet outside of PTC number 8 moving into the Carolinas. But as we get a little bit closer, and I've got this on a nice slow loop, so we can almost talk about it day by day into next Friday and Saturday. Now there's just the first signs of something trying to bubble up here in the Western or Central Caribbean, and then into early next week. Again, those systems lift north over Jamaica and Cuba and the Bahamas and the Turks and the Caicos along the eastern seaboard of the United States. And then here comes the secondary potential back into the Lesser Antilles here. All right, very clear to see on the GFS ensembles. This again, I want to be clear, is the same model I just showed you, except that this is all of the ensemble. So not just the deterministic, but all 51 members. But again, highlight closer to home, potentially next weekend, central western sides of the Caribbean. We'll start to watch and see if anything spins up. Just going to let this run one more time. This would be basically next Monday, the 23rd, and you see a lot of signal here from the GFS of some activity trying to lift north. And then towards the end of the forecast period, again, back into the Lesser Antilles a little bit more. But I want to be clear. This is the time of the year that this is expected. It is nothing outrageous to be talking about periods of very active weather here as we push into the end of September tropically, okay? It's just been exceptionally quiet compared to what it normally is, but now we're starting to see a little bit more activity overall. Nothing has been outrageous. I mean, look, Francine was a big time problem for Louisiana, but outside of that, we've been relatively spared, obviously, over the last 6 weeks. Now, the European ensemble members are about the same. Maybe a little bit slower in development overall, but here they go. Again, the European doesn't go as far out as the GFS, so we're not going to catch what's happening here, potentially in the Lesser Antilles towards the end of the month. But again, you will see next weekend, Sunday into early next week, Monday, Tuesday, now we start to see more development. Maybe here on the European, not until it gets north of Cuba, but obviously a little bit more active weather overall being signaled by the European model. So friends, I just wanted to highlight that. Obviously, you know I'm going to keep a really close eye on it for you guys. I appreciate you following us here across all of our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or a video, I'd love to show you in one of these YouTube videos. It's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. I'll have the latest update for you tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.